Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Jay Feely has bounced around the league quite a bit. It seems like no matter where he goes, he tends to have productive seasons for his team, and sometimes he goes out there and he's on the right team, and fantasy-wise, he's really worth having. Last year, he kicked 30 field goal attempts. He converted 30, I should say, out of about 35, 36 attempts. As the Jets, he was a good kicker for the Jets, decent kicker for fantasy. But this offseason, the Jets decided that they wanted to cut down on how much they wanted to pay their kicker, so they offered him, I think, 1 year for $300,000 less, I was reading. $300,000 less than he was making the year before, so he didn't stay. That really could hurt the Jets, and on our talk about Nick Folk, we go into a little bit more detail of that with the struggles that he's kind of having right now. Unless Nick can get it back, they're going to really regret, I think, maybe letting go of Feely, because he was a good little kicker for them. You look at what he did for them in the playoffs, even against the Bengals, when they didn't have a punter because of health issues there. He ended up being their punter for him too, and he did a pretty good job. That could have been a catastrophe right there, and he actually ended up pitching in and doing a good job and helping the team out just in that way, as well as with his kicking. You look at Feely with the Arizona Cardinals this year, he should be a pretty darn good, productive fantasy kicker for you to have. With Matt Leinart and a good team, they're probably going to move a lot of drives into field goal range, but I do expect them to probably have some problems converting drives into touchdowns like they have in the past, because for one, they do have Matt Leinart instead of Kurt Warner, and it may take him a year to feel things out as a starter again before he starts converting those touchdowns. And two, they lost Anquan Bolden. They lost one of their touchdown-making receivers, Steve Preston. Good yardage receiver, but we have not seen him become any type of a relevant touchdown maker. So really that gives them, I'd say, one receiver in their passing game that's a touchdown maker. That's Larry Fitzgerald. And Beanie Wells and Tim Hightower do a pretty good job on the ground at being able to score as well. But when they're not getting it done probably on the ground and defenses are locking in on Larry Fitzgerald on most drives, they're going to have to kick field goals, and they're on a team and in a division and with a schedule that should allow Jay Feely and the Cardinals to be in a lot of football games this season. So look for Feely to get a good amount of opportunities again, I'd say, like the Jets, because he plays in that dome and in the nice weather on the West Coast. He should be in a lot of nice situations for himself and for good kicking conditions. So I look for him to be a nice kicker that you can probably get pretty darn cheap at the draft this year, but at the end of the day, he should probably be a good, productive, consistent player for your fantasy team.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy